Alright, so this is going to be my review of Moon Knight. I guess you could call this Moon Knight Season 1. Yeah. This was probably my most anticipated show for like, literally, like, this was the show that I was most excited for out of all the MCU shows. This was the one that, like, when Disney Plus announced they were going to do Marvel shows, I was like, this is gonna be the big one. Like, this is gonna be the one I'm most excited for. Although, to be fair, I was also really excited for, like, Hawkeye and, of course, Falcon and Winter Soldier. So, yeah. So, without further ado, let's get into this. Of course, there is going to be spoilers. It has been it has been a few hours since, as of this recording, since the final episode dropped. So, I'm pretty sure spoilers are already out there. And hey. I'm always excited to see what you guys have to say about this, so I'm going to be talking a lot about this, so let's get into it, shall we? So, obviously this takes a lot of inspiration from the Jeff Lemire comics, and some of the Warren run as well. This comic is very much, if you are a Jeff Lemire fan, you are probably going to like, if you were a fan of the Jeff Lemire Cullen Bunn, Ellis era of Moon Knight, you are probably going to like this. You are probably definitely going to like this iteration of Moon Knight. I really enjoyed, first and foremost, Oscar Isaac. I hope he gets like an Emmy or something. His acting in here is phenomenal. It's definitely some of the best damn work in here I've ever seen from any actor in the MCU. Like, this is hands down some of the best work in any MCU acting, like, any show ever. Like, he carries this show. Like, I'm surprised he didn't have to go I'm surprised he didn't have to, like, go to the hospital for a back injury for carrying all this weight throughout the show. Like, and I'm not saying he carried the show, but he is the focal point of this. And I think he does an excellent job portraying literally 1, 2, 3 characters in tandem, or sometimes acting by himself. That's the sign of a really good actor, is when you can literally act with yourself. That's how good it is. Like, that's how good Oscar Isaac is in this show. And I'm not trying to, like, say that everyone else sucked. I'm not saying that at all. Everyone in this show was phenomenal. I think this is some of the best acting I've seen in an MCU show, a movie or TV show or whatever in a long time. And I'm not trying to discredit that at all. I'm just saying, like, this is definitely some of the top caliber stuff. So when it comes to Emmy season, this Oscar Isaac better win a goddamn Emmy. And this show better win a few Emmys on top of that, for cinematography and music especially. Those are the other 3. Best actor, cinematography, and music. Because there's some really good original composition in here. Just phenomenal. Also, fourth one. I'll give you a fourth one. Ethan Hawke for Best Supporting. The actress, who I'm forgetting her name, but the actress who played Layla should also get a nod as well. Ethan Hawke is the villain, as Arthur Harrow, a D-list villain. And sometimes villains, like, sometimes you can make a D-list villain into a major threat. I mean, look at some of the stuff we saw in the MCU with using other villains in these films. It's really cool what they do with Harrow and what they do with Egyptian mythology in general, where they're literally, mixing and matching all of it. It does bring up, as long as you don't think about, like, where the Egyptian mythology falls into in the MCU, or are they actual gods? Are they aliens? Like what they try to say the Asgardians were? Don't think about it. Like, that's the only way I could say is that don't think about it. It also brings up the question of how connected this is to the rest of the MCU. Is this in its own universe? Is this in the it's got to be in the MCU. They do bring up Madripoor. So, and sometimes, yeah, I do think that while it is a little confusing as to where in the MCU timeline this is, I have read that this is like, if you want to put it somewhere, it's in the 5-year gap after the Thanos snap. So that actually would make a lot of sense. Like, it's just the world trying to continue. So, I'll take that. Like, I will take that. But at the same time, I'm like, they do bring up Mandrapore again. So yeah. But the point I was trying to make earlier is that sometimes it's okay for just a solo superhero to go on a solo adventure. You know how many times I've read comics where I think to myself, man, why isn't this character calling the Avengers or calling some of his superhero buddies? Sometimes superheroes just go on solo adventures. So I imagine if Moon Knight goes further, like, I imagine he'll show up in other stuff. Like, he might show up, and I do hope that we, like I said in my thoughts on the trailer for Thor: Love and Thunder, is that I would love nothing more than to see just this scene where, like, Thor's at this party with the gods that Zeus is throwing, like it was talking about in the trailer, where just this scene where, like, Thor is just walking among all the gods, and like, he's like, oh, hello, Khonshu, and Khonshu's like, yeah. That would be funny. Like, I think that would be pretty funny. So that would be just that would be a lot of fun. I do like how they dealt with the mental illness. I like how Steven and Mark are very vastly different. And again, going back to Oscar Isaac's just phenomenal work as an actor. I really do think that this handled it very well. I do think, however, at the same time while saying that, I wish they pushed the mental illness a little further, but Episode 5 was really heavy. And I do wish they went just a little bit further with it and kind of talking about it. But, hey, Episode 6, we gotta have our giant CGI fight. That's the rules. Like, that's very much the rules. Because Episode 5 was brutal. It was mentally brutal. Here, it was just, hey, that was all cool of a character introspection. We gotta get back to the superhero stuff. I feel like that's kind of the thing with a lot of MCU these days, where it's like, they're allowed to be weird as long as they go back to the rule of big CGI superhero fight. It needs to go back to that. Yeah. Did I have a problem with the Moon Knight costume being, like, thrown around in, like, garbs? It's alright. I do wish it was, like, an actual costume he put on. But, like, at the same time, I'm like, they're delving into magic. So, and it's a different universe, so I'll let it go. And also, like, Khonshu flying, and also Mr. Knight being Mark's costume. Interesting. It does make me wonder of what... Alright, I'll just say it. Like, we do find out that Jake Lockley is the third personality. No shocker there. And Jake is still working for Khonshu. Because that bird-nosed dick would totally do this. Of making making a deal with a third personality. And making Jake the most violent personality, too, is... pretty interesting. You do get, like, a tease of him earlier, but here it's kind of like they use him, and I do think this is when I was watching the final episode, I was like, that was cheap. When they just Harrow's got everyone by the balls, and then Mark just blacks out, and then he reawakens and everything's done. I'm like, well, that was cheap. And also, like, I know some people are like, wait a minute, there's two giant kaiju-sized gods fighting in Egypt. Why isn't anyone freaking out? There's people eating dinner and going about the streets. Yeah, but remember, these gods can only be seen by believers. So, no one probably saw that in they probably did see, like, people getting, like, Shang Tsung'd, for lack of a better word. Like, I'm pretty sure, like, that happened, and I wish there was a little more urgency there. But again, it really does play with your whole sense of how much of this is mental or magical. And I do like that. That's always been the ambiguity. Like, as a reader of Moon Knight comics in general, that's kind of like the ambiguity you really do expect from these stories, is a lot of, is a lot of something like that, where it's like this mental ambiguity of like how much of this is real and how much of this is in Mark's head. Like that's always been the question. So in a way, I'm kind of glad they did transition that into the Moon Knight TV show. And hopefully with season 2 we get more. It does look like we are gonna do Bushman. Like after that mention, yeah, it does look like Bushman's gonna be there. Maybe they'll do the face cutoff scene. Who knows? I also am kind of hoping for like Midnight Man or Shadow Knight or something, or like someone a little more known. Maybe even Zodiac, since he's the big villain in the Jed McKay run. Maybe they'll do something with Zodiac down the line. Who knows? But yeah, Moon Knight, it lived up to the hype. That's all I can really say, is that it really did live up to the hype of being one of the best MCU shows out there. So yeah, go check it out. Anyway, so you guys tell me in the comments below, what did you guys think of Moon Knight Season 1? Did you guys like it, hate it? Comment below, let me know. And as always, if you haven't already, hit the link below. Head on over to my Patreon to check out exclusive videos and other content over on Patreon. And if you hit the 4th tier, you can send me requests for videos to do here on YouTube. But other than that, I'm Mr. Multiverse. I'll see you next time in the Multiverse.